In a perfect world, we would grow and harvest organic food, sustainably and without harmful pesticides. We would rinse them and transport them a short distance away to be consumed with minimal processing before they lose their nutrients. It's the way they do it at Paradise Farms, who supplies fresh produce to local South Florida restaurants.
5 years ago, I purchased Paradise Farms, a well-known organic farm since 1999 in Homestead, Florida, because my whole philosophy is that nature heals.
Paradise Farms owner Carla Dascal says she learned that after battling several chronic diseases.
I'm recovering from a lifestyle of obesity, of diabetes, of chronic anxiety. I was weighing over 250 pounds and all my levels were out of control. In 2005, I had a gastric bypass. They became available, but not right away did I start making the changes. I basically, kept eating the Happy Meals and, doing my thing, but in smaller quantities.
She says the real change came after a yoga instructor introduced her to the healing power of plants, and she began studying.
And really educating myself on a holistic lifestyle, meaning, no medications, whole foods, organic foods.
Looking to see just how much whole, unprocessed plant food we're really consuming daily, I set out to buy lunch specials, not at fast food joints, but at Hispanic restaurants because Latinos, we pride ourselves on eating well. I wanted to see if we were adapting to the standard American diet, low in fiber-rich fruits and vegetables, and high in saturated fat, animal products, and highly processed foods that are loaded with sugar and salt. We took the food to nutritionist Katia Galvez.
So here we have what Hispanics are eating in this country today. This is a typical lunch, what they call completas, a Cuban, a Mexican, and a Puerto Rican. This is what we eat for lunch, for dinner. So at first glance, what do you see?
Large portions and a lot of fat. Unfortunately, we like to add so much fat, fatty ingredients like cheese, cream, everything fried, large portions. And I can see here that the good stuff is just the decoration, right?
She's talking about the veggies and unprocessed foods that only seem to decorate the plate filled with saturated fat, mostly from animal-derived foods. The pork on this plate, for example, not only has high cholesterol levels, but when we consume it, our body produces a substance called TMAO.
Well, this is a compound that is formed when we digest meat. It's mainly in animal products like meat, fish, eggs, and it's very inflammatory. They've seen that having high amounts of TMAOs will increase your risk of cardiovascular disease, even cancer.
What's missing from the plate, she says, are cruciferous vegetables like kale or broccoli that have the opposite effect. Consuming those whole, unprocessed plant foods has been linked to a reduction in inflammation in the arteries. Unfortunately, saturating our traditional dishes with pro-inflammatory foods has become normal.
Unfortunately, we have strayed from our roots. So if we think about the diet of our grandparents or great-grandparents, in various countries, it was rooted in a plant-based menu. So we would consume beans and corn and pumpkin, potatoes. So it was more of a starch-based diet. And with time, back then, animal products were more a commodity, was something that that you wouldn't eat every day. And with time, all of the animal products became more accessible, as well as the availability of processed foods in our diet. And so we have changed the way that we eat.
People come to this country thinking that the abundance and the opportunity, to eat meat and to eat it every day and so cheaply, how would they really now eat beans? I mean, that was what we ate when we were poor. It's only a few years into it that people start to get sick. And by the time that you find out that this food is making you sick, you are addicted to it.
History has shown us changing our dietary habits when we migrate can be detrimental. A study published in a well-known medical journal concluded that when low-income people from South Asia immigrated to Europe and began to consume more fat, animal products such as meat and dairy, and more refined carbohydrates, leaving whole grains and reducing their intake of fiber from plants, they saw an increase in risk of obesity, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease, the same chronic diseases that plague Americans.
When we started changing our diet, what happened to us?
So we started to get sick. We started to see the rate of diabetes and heart disease increase rapidly. And we see that now in our children.
According to the World Health Organization, the healthiest diet is mostly plant-based, filled with fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts, and whole grains, and low in processed and refined foods with added sugar, salt, and saturated fat. But that recommendation is hard to hear when we are bombarded with other attractive messages.
They're offering you $1,000 a day for it's a one-day internship.
What do you have to do?
You have to taste bacon-related menu items, and then you rate each strip of bacon.
I will do it for free.
No.
It is National Hot Dog Day.
Yes.
So
Wasn't yesterday like National French Fry Day?
Every day is a National Food Day.
Just be aware that people like to hear good news about their bad habits. So many times the media will encourage that type of information.
Lifestyle medicine doctor Eddie Ramirez says we need to be educated consumers when shopping for food.
Search, research, ask the question where things come from. In that way, you're going to be able to be more knowledgeable to take better decisions. Consumer is the one that really can change the tide of things.
It's really a process of deconstructing, of educating and deconstructing, and going against the dopamine, which is the pleasure, that people get when they eat a hamburger or a fried, rib or cheese, which is if they try to eat less meat because they've heard that it's associated with colon cancer, they haven't heard that cheese is bad, so cheese then is into everything. We are really in deep trouble in terms of health and nutrition in this country.
So the first thing that I like to tell everyone that will listen is let's unlearn everything that we thought we knew about eating. Your plate doesn't have to consume animal protein, right? All protein derives from plants.
On the next episode of Healing Through Food 2, we go shopping with holistic health coach Carla Salinari to understand just how to put together a satisfying, healthy dish.